Hey everyone, it's Allie, and today it's time for our day 3 update for Void Knight Autobomber. Now, today we have quite a few things to go over. We have a few questions to answer that people have been bringing up, as well as a few other minor optimization changes that we made to the build that should make it a little bit stronger. But most importantly, today we're going to be discussing exactly how to go about making a set for the build and how to go about shattering it to, well, put your Forgotten Knight set onto an actual proper set of gear instead of having to use the set itself. So let's take care of the housekeeping first and go over all the minor things that we should discuss. First off, we have made a small change to our Volatile reversal tree. I realized that there's no reason to go through the bottom anymore, especially given we don't have future focus anymore. And while I didn't really discuss since the day 2 update, yes, immutable pass does work with warp time. It is bugged, it's weird, it shouldn't work, but it also just doesn't work with future focus. So hey, it's bugged either way, which is a little bit unfortunate. But because we don't need to wait for it to have a bigger duration, temporal dilation is literally just useless, and Branding Maw saves 1 passive point, which we could then put into phase reality. What I also realized is that there's no reason to have 4 points in time rifts to begin with, because your Volatile reversal should have a 3 to 4 second cooldown, meaning that this by itself is more than enough to permanently keep it up anyways. That means we could put quite a few points in phase reality, giving us some dot mitigation. The other thing that I need to make you immediately aware of has to do with Smite and Fissure. Yesterday on stream, I went and fought Abroth for the first time, and I gotta say our build's a little bit broken. I knew we were gonna be tanky, but my God, I was able to face tank every single thing Abroth did, with the exception of the big one-shot abilities that you just straight up can't tank, and even those I was able to stand in for a little bit without really worrying. And basically, I just disrespected the whole boss fight. Now, I'm really glad we're able to do that, because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to kill the boss. Fissure currently is bugged to where if you're using the default Fissure, you just massively lose your frame rate. I was encountering this in a few areas, most notoriously the Great Bridge, and I couldn't really pinpoint it until suddenly on some portions of the Abra fight, I went from a smooth 100 plus frames while streaming and recording to straight up sub 1 FPS gameplay. What we end up learning is that it is literally just the base default smite that's causing that, and what you have to do, which is really dumb, EHG are aware of this and they will be fixing it. But until then, you either need to use the Crimson Smites, which is the smite MTX they get for watching anyone on Twitch stream the game, or Cosmic Smite, because their fissures do not cause you to have such bad frame spikes. It's really annoying. It's really cringe. It is what it is, but hopefully this does get fixed soon, so that's not really much of a problem. With that out of the way, the final thing I want to mention is that today, when this video is coming out, we are about to do a massive amount of theory crafting, and I'd highly recommend for you to come by Twitch and come watch it, as it is now finally time to go look into things such as Abyssal Echoes to see if they're worth running over Smite, and Hammer Throw, of all skills, given that we think we could apply bigger time rots with it, which is kind of silly. So I would recommend to come on and drop by if you want to see everything live for yourself. Now, for the major thing that we need to discuss in today's video, set crafting itself. Set crafting is something we would really like to do for a build, given that we really want to use the Forgotten Knight set, but the actual set pieces themselves are kind of bad. What I've been recommending for people to do is, as soon as you get yourself your first set, to just use it. The 2 and 3 set are extremely powerful, and as long as you don't need those slots for resistances or health, the set pieces are just going to give you more DPS. What you're going to want to do from that point, though, is for you to go and shatter a second set. You wouldn't want to shatter the first set because you're still using it, and to use those set affixes that you shattered to then craft new reforged set items, which have a portion of the set item embedded onto it while also counting for the set item itself. For example, with my sword, this is just a Nagasa with some mods I rolled on it, and the set affix itself, which then makes this weapon a portion of the set. The same is true for my amulets, where we just put the set affix on here, and the same goes for my shield, meaning I have the full 3 set. A lot of people have been asking exactly how to do this, and in today's video I want to go exactly over that so you know exactly what to do for it. Now, the first thing we need to do is, well, you need to grab yourself a set. To do so, if you're on Merchant's Guild, it's as simple as just buying it from the auction house. It is a little bit pricey, but it shouldn't be too difficult to get your hands on. And if you're playing Circle Fortune, all you have to do is simply get yourself all the way to rank 3, all the way to rank 4, where the benefit from Circle Fortune makes it so every single set item that drops gives you a full set instead. This means if you just get the weapon, amulet, or shield, there you go. You have the full Forgotten set dropped at once. From there, what you're going to have to do is go and grab yourself a Great Bridge Woven Echo, which you can buy from the vendor in town at level 4 or higher, or you can get as a drop. They're somewhat rare, and then simply go and run that Woven Echo. The Great Bridge is simply just, well, a long bridge with a few champion mobs they have to kill and a mini boss at the end. And then once you do finally get to the end of it, you'll get access to a forge where you can simply put in your set items and then hit shatter, which will then delete them and turn them into affix shards. In our case, we're going to get the blade, defiance, and locket of the Forgotten Knight Set Shards, which are now all items that we can use to craft whatever sort of set item that we want to. Now, these are going to be prefixes, and you're simply going to use them in the same exact way you'd go about crafting anything else. For example, with this shield, all you have to do is just have an open prefix, and I can just simply add this on here just like any other prefix. The only thing that you need to keep in mind about this is that you can only put these on each of their respective items. For example, the shield set shard has to specifically go on a shield, the amulet set shard has to go on an amulet, and the sword set shard has to specifically go on a sword as well. Now, what I'd recommend for you to do is to just grab yourself literally any sword. You don't have to find yourself in a gossip. You don't have to have anything fancy on it. Honestly, just any sword, or you can just keep using the set sword until you get yourself a decent sword to craft off of. And then from there, just look to upgrade it further, as just again, having the 3 set, having a half decent weapon on top of it is more than enough to begin with. With this, you will then be able to basically get the set without having to use the garbage set items, and you're off to the races with it. One other thing I want to talk about here is that you can also use a glyph of despair to seal the mods onto the item, which would then put them in a subsection below your prefixes and suffixes, meaning that that prefix is now open for you to then be able to put whatever other mod you want in there. You're ideally going to want to do this for the weapon and for the amulets, as those stats aren't really the greatest, and putting on something like Void Pen on your amulet or getting damage over time and void damages to prefixes on your weapon is going to give you a lot more DPS. On your shield, you really don't want to do that, because the less void damage taken per block, on block is very powerful. And it's going to actually be something that we would ideally in the super late game want to try to get as a tier 7 mod. But for the other two, you are just free to steal them away. With that, you'll have yourself some slightly better set items, and you should be able to blast substantially harder than before, as My God is the set for our build extremely powerful. If you have any questions on any of that, you're more than free to leave a comment in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to help you as soon as I can. Again, there's a whole written section in the written guide that goes over exactly what we just went over if you want a written version of all this. And as always, I stream every day on Twitch, so feel free to come by Twitch and ask me any of your questions there, or feel free to drop by our Discord and ask any of your questions in the Last Epoch channels, as either myself or someone will be more than happy to help you as soon as they can. I hope you're enjoying the build as much as I am. I'm really looking forward to Theorycrafting with you on stream today. I'm looking forward to discussing some of the unique items we're going to want to fin to build in tomorrow's update. And well, with that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next video.